and welcome to Grounds Patrol, a Newgrounds Creators podcast. My name is Will Comer. I am your host, and we have a really fun interview for you guys today. But first, I want to tell you a couple quick things about us. Grounds Patrol now has an official email. It is groundspatrol@gmail.com. Side note, can you believe we actually got groundspatrol@gmail.com in this day and age? I couldn't believe it. It's like a sign. I love it. Anyway, our mailbox through that is now open to you guys. So send us anything you want, questions, thoughts on the previous episode, kind of like a letters to the editor sort of thing. And I'll read some of your stuff on the show. I can't promise I'll be able to read your advertisements for your stuff. So maybe hold back on that for now. But if you have anything you want to say, send it to us. Again, groundspatrol@gmail.com. As you know, Grounds Patrol has recently been opened up to the podcasting platform world, so you can now find Grounds Patrol on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. I just wanted to pipe in and say that's going really well. I'm really excited that we can kind of be on all of those different things. The more I make these episodes now, the more I'm starting to realize how much easier it is to upload a podcast to a platform like this than it is to upload to Newgrounds itself, which I guess is kind of biting the hand that feeds because this is a Newgrounds podcast. But you start to feel like Newgrounds' audio portal is made for, I don't know, shorter songs. I have a lot of people tell me that when they go to Newgrounds to listen to it, they have to wait a long time for this, basically what Newgrounds thinks is a 50-minute song to load for them to hear it. Meanwhile, a podcasting thing, you just stream it. It just plays immediately. I don't know what I'm saying with this. I guess I'm just saying that maybe in the future we could work with Newgrounds together to find ways to make podcasts more accessible, because right now it takes about 3 or 4 times as long to upload this to Newgrounds as it does to just upload to the rest of podcasting. I don't know. Now, last thing, I'm really excited about this. I want to welcome my newest member of the Grounds Patrol, quote-unquote, staff. Guy's name is Ninja Muffin. You probably all know him. He's more into the Newgrounds community than I am, for what it's worth. He is our show's new producer. Congratulations, Ninja Muffin. So if you're listening out there, you get a PM or a DM or whatever else from him or an email, it's probably on behalf of me. Even if he's just saying hi to you, it's probably on behalf of me. That's not true. I'm going to cut that out. Anyway, our new producer, Ninja Muffin. Congrats to him. Congrats to you, buddy. I'm really excited for what we can do together for this thing. Now, my interview, as you know, because you read the title of this, was with Mikkel Mainz, who is the creator of Tales of Alethrion, which is a really, really cool, mostly YouTube, but also Newgrounds, fantasy series. It's beautiful animation. I mean, we're talking professional quality. It has awesome music, and they have a Kickstarter for Season 2. Season 2 of their show is going to be coming, but it needs your help. So I was able to talk to him. Actually, he was doing a YouTube live event the other day. I actually interviewed him right after the YouTube live event. So number one, I got to pay attention to what he was doing and write down a lot of questions I might have had from that. So I cheated. But also, you're going to hear it's kind of like a late night intimate talk. It was sort of quiet. I think it was like midnight where he was. One thing you might notice about the quality of this, it's going to be a lot better than what you might be used to on the show, because I actually had him be nice enough to record on his own microphone. I recorded on my own microphone, and I just put it together. So you're hearing actual microphone recording quality. You're not just hearing like a Discord call like you have been in the past. So get hyped for that. It's going to be really nice and buttery sound. This was a really fun interview. I didn't know him at all before this, but we got to talk about a lot of different things. And it really made me excited to watch more of the show. And it really made me really excited for this Kickstarter to become a reality. So, listen in, consider donating to the Kickstarter, and enjoy!
It was much longer than I had anticipated. I was like, when I wrote you, I was like, all right, so yeah, I'll see you just like an hour and 20 minutes after.
Yeah, no, it's 3.
No,
it's 3 p.m. my time. I don't know what time it is yours. If it's super late,
it's like midnight. It's midnight. Yeah.
By the way, I was actually in the YouTube live, and I was leaving comments and stuff. First of all, you said my last name right, which nobody has done in probably 5 years. So I really appreciated that, even though you didn't mean to.
How did I say
Very fun. You said Comer, and my last name is Comer. People say Komar,
Komar.
Comer. Yeah. Comer.
I'm used to waking with fantasy names.
I'm proud of this. I was the one who said Skjalhala for the name of the tavern.
Oh, you did? Ah, great. Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Then we have been together for quite some time already now.
Yeah. I was off and on. Because I started just to be like, all right, I'm going to see when he does this. And when the more it went on, the more I was like, okay, I'm going to leave this in the background. And then I went out to get some air. And then I went back and checked up on it, and you were drawing. And I was like, all right, cool, great. And I started doing other things. And
Yeah, I think it was a pretty cool drawing I got to make there.
it was. I thought it was cool, too. Especially with the drawing for an audience live is so different. I can imagine.
It is. And I was so distracted all the time talking about other stuff. Yeah.
I haven't done a drawing thing before because I don't know how to draw that well. But I've done I have tried to program a simple game on a live feed before.
Yeah.
And I felt like every single thing I did, like I had to make it entertaining. Like I couldn't just let myself write code and try to do math in my head because I was like, no, be on.
Oh, thank you. But I think that it's also drawing has been like a storytelling tool for me my whole life. So when I was a kid and I couldn't, if you wrote something, it was not visually, so you couldn't pitch it to your friends. So what I did was that I took this bunch of drawings and then I started drawing some characters, and then my friends would be like, I choose first, I choose seconds, and then they would choose who they were, and then I would take those characters and make a story about it while I was drawing and then telling the story. And then we took turns on who got the story with them home.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that was like, so I've been doing it like forever, like drawing and talking. And so it's a little bit scary when there's so many people. But at the same time, it was nice that people asked questions so I could talk while drawing. That was really nice.
Yeah, everybody was really into it. And you posted the Discord link, and I swear, 70 people flooded into it the second you put that link. That was cool to see.
That's so nice.
I look forward to that community growing. That community is going to grow and organize itself pretty fast. Be ready for it.
I hope so. I literally just made it in the beginning of the week, and I was like, well, let's see if I could create an actual place where people could discuss in the forum, because it is hard to find that actually. If you're on Twitter or Instagram and all this, it's like a feed that constantly moves. But but here it's fun to see people can engage with each other.
That's a lot of the reason why I made a Discord for the podcast as well. It's because you want to be able to see not just individualized feedback, you also want to see people talking about what you're doing, and you want to also be part of it.
Yeah, I hope there's more people are going to see the link. I'm going to share it on the Patreon, on the Kickstarter, and probably also on the different platforms. But basically, it's just for people who are interested in the world, and a lot of people have also asked where the gathering point is. So that could be the place.
That seems like that's what everything is now. Discord is kind of the center of online hubs and communities.
Yes, it's awesome.
Are you part of some too? Do you have an online community that you're doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
It started out with the first time I got into Discord was actually not a game. It was I threw a few bucks after some Bitcoins, and then that was where everybody talked about it, and it was pretty funny for some months. Of course, I lost all the my Bitcoin's still there, but they're not worth it.
No. I was about to ask, how'd that go for you?
I saw them grow, and then I was like, ooh, now it's exciting. And then it all went back to what I put in. Now it's just the same. So
yeah.
Yeah, but I thought it was really, really fun to just to read about and what is this crazy thing? But I'm not at all a money man, so no. It was more because it was geeky and nerdy, and I love nerdy stuff. So stuff you can dig really much into. That's usually something I'm like, ooh, let's check this out.
Of course. You talked about being a kid. How young were you when you started drawing and doing stuff like that?
I mean, I can't remember when I didn't draw. I remember being super fascinated by other people drawing. So the pedagogue in the after school when you were taken care of, there was a girl there. I really remember drawing dinosaurs and swans and cool stuff for me. But she was drawing after books. I remember being super fascinated with her drawing. And then I tried to get my parents to draw for me. And I told them to draw Ninja Turtles and all that.
You tried to get your parents to draw for you to entertain you.
Yeah, so back then I tried to get everybody I saw who were better at drawing than me. I tried to make them draw for me, right? And then at the same time, down at the school, I would go to the classmates and friends around and be like, I can draw and tell stories and all that. And then I would, build that up. But I think I've been drawing all the time.
I've never heard of somebody entertaining themselves by asking people to draw things for them. That's hilarious.
Yeah. But we were also doing all the stuff, of course. We were like playing. Then somebody was like Bowser, and some others were Mario and Luigi, and we would run around and do all kinds of crazy stuff. So it was and also other things. So
I watched. I wasn't that familiar with Tales of Alethrion until recently. I started watching it only just a couple days ago to sort of get myself. It started as just
subscriber.
Yeah, I'm a new subscriber. Count me in.
That's great.
I found it really beautiful. I really enjoyed it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff. It seemed like the kind of story to me that you would have started to make up when you were much younger. Is this the kind of thing that, like, you talked in the YouTube thing too, that you based the lore around comics that you used to make and things you used to do?
It was basically me and my old friend Kenneth. We were sitting and talking about what would be a super cool movie to make that was different than a lot of others, and we based it very much on like, but what we like is like Mind Game from like Studio 4 Degrees and Las Gars from like a French animation house, and One Piece, and all these like edgy animations that were kind of like underground, but still not really, but it's really well made, and mixing that with Dungeons and Dragons and the fantasy tales, and not being limited to, if you wanted to show heads being chopped off or fingers being chopped off or like breasts and stuff like that, we were like, oh, that would be cool to just not censor stuff, but also not make it as something you have to do. So it was just that thing of like, how would it be if it was an actual fantasy tale, like if you played a game?
I mean, people, I found that was one of the things I enjoyed about Alethrion, was that it seemed like it had the capacity to be adult and to do things that you couldn't do on TV, but it also didn't rely on it at all. It didn't seem like it was trying to do that. It just had that option available. Yeah,
it's that classical old saying that, story is key, and whatever you can do to tell that story better, you should do it, right? And I think for this universe, it was very much that thing of like, how do we make these characters as human as possible, but with all these quirky sides, so we could relate to them, right? And I think that for me, we have like a history in animation of like fitting into like a target audience or like a box for a TV slot and these things, and if you try to take all of that away and you just make a story with some characters, you're gonna get a very like random target audience, because you're basically gonna make whatever is interesting you at the moment. And I can see that on all my stories that it's something that changes every episode. Like it changes according to where my life is at that point of time. So in that sense, it becomes like kind of like a diary for me to watch those stories again. But then it's set in the same world, so it's just like Game of Thrones. I also meet people who are like, "Oh, I couldn't watch. I couldn't even get into the second episode because it was like watching softcore porn." And I'm
fairness.
Like, okay. So these people are seeing it differently than I do.
Yeah. In fairness, there was like one or two scenes, and I'm rewatching Game of Thrones season 1, and there is a scene or two where it's just like, okay, it feels like you're just kind of doing this for us. This isn't kind of really
on purpose. Yeah, when you can always feel when it's forced upon something, right?
Yeah.
Like then it has to be part of the world where it's not just, these have to do this because of whatever.
Yeah, like Daenerys being in the burning building and burning it herself, and her clothes burn off and everything goes away, and she like goes out as some destructive goddess who's amazing. That fits perfectly. That's really cool.
That's great. But you can also imagine him writing that, right?
Yeah. And then there's like Littlefinger is teaching these two prostitutes how to like properly have sex with a man, and he's expositing about himself and his story while coaching them on how to like do things to each other better, and it's like, this is dumb.
Yeah, I agree. But I actually haven't watched the last 2 episodes, so I'm really looking forward to digging into that. I hear so many different things, and now I'm like really excited to see what they did.
It's a controversy for sure. You'll be joining the argument when you watch it. I don't quite know how I feel about it, but
like, I've heard so much, and now I'm like, oh, this is gonna be exciting. I kind of wanted to, when it was like a day up to the last episode, I kind of wanted to just take both of them as a chunk and just enjoy it. And then people have like so many different opinions about it. But it's also like the last season's also a little bit like fan fiction, right?
Yeah, I feel that too. It feels like there's sort of, it seems like fans of the show are now writing the show. I guess that's what fan fiction is, so yes. I like that Alethrion has this sort of fantasy genre where you can do dragons and swords and shields and stuff, but you can also have like electric guitar in the soundtrack, and you can have high fives, and you modernize it just a little bit.
Yeah, it's like a sci-fi fantasy. It's like the hipsters version of a fantasy world. It's like the rock stars of the 80s version of heroes, so it gives that kind of extra edge to the world.
Absolutely. And everybody looks like an 80s rock star too. I mean, they got that vibe. I love that your characters and your style are like 70% mustache and beard, and then there's the rest of their body. I love it. So good. Is that your style in general, or did you adopt that style a little bit for Alethrion?
That's me and Kenneth's style. Me and the one I started out this series with, that was very much our style. We had like a, how do you say, an animation jam we were running for like a long time, where we would just animate a scene, send it to the other person, animate it, and we did like a 9-minute Pokemon battle just by jamming against each other, where we didn't know what Pokemons the other one had. And we also did like avatar fights where we were like playing with elements against each other, and we did roll the die, and then there would be a class from Dungeons & Dragons and a monster from the Monster Manual, and then we would animate them against each other. So we made a lot of little films before Alethrion, where we just like tested animation and style. Is
this the partner that you had since college when you were doing the reward and all that?
And the reward was like my graduation from school.
But now you're working with Skald. Am I saying that right? Skald?
Yeah.
Skald.
Like me and my old partner there, we made a studio together afterwards called Sun Creature, where we made the reward and continued in that. And then I was directing that and making a lot of other cool projects. I worked on Song of the Sea and Ivanhoe and Cartoon Network and Coca-Cola commercials and League of Legends, and we did so much stuff in that studio. And then we grew and grew and grew, and then there was no more room to continue these passion-driven projects like The Reward and Spirit Seeker and other projects. So what I actually did was that I created another studio called Skald, with the focus of continuing on the passion-driven projects, like original IPs. And both things were super cool, and we're still all good friends, but this was just what I wanted, and the other guys wanted something else. So it's basically a studio set up to make this.
Okay, so you were part of Sun Creature. You created Skald as a avenue for your personal projects, and then you left.
Yeah, like Sun Creature was also something we built. So it's my second studio.
You're industrial. I can respect that. You do a lot of things with a lot of companies.
Yeah, but it's also because like this is like something that is like really a world and a universe that I love.
Are you able to support yourself fully on the original projects now?
Yeah. But I'm also teaching. So I'm teaching at the Animation Workshop and some other places where I teach animation and storytelling and doing master classes and stuff like that. So some of that, and then also I'm working on some other films, which also projects I've made, but that's more like feature films, so that's longer. So yeah, I feel pretty happy. But the Kickstarter for Alethrion, it's pretty important that one goes through if I am to make this in-house project.
Let's go through the Kickstarter. So that's the final goal for that is?
That's like $75,000.
$75,000. If I remember right, we're a little bit over the halfway point here now.
Yes, we're like almost 60%. Let me just check. Yeah. It's like on 59%.
Oh, we're almost at 60. Okay, that's good. As of this episode, it's going to be May 29th. And the Kickstarter ends on
June the 7th. It's going to end.
The 7th.
In 10 days.
So we have 10 days to get you that other half.
I really hope that it's going to go through. That would be a treat.
Yes. And do you want to quickly talk about the different pledges and what you can... I want to give you more of a slot for this at the end as well, but if you want to quickly go over, if I'm going to be giving money to your cause, what will be the rewards that I would get in return for this?
Obviously, it's like really... it's quite costly to make like high quality animation, and the reason I'm doing this on Kickstarter and is also to be able to continue making it free for everyone on YouTube. That's like a really cool community that's in there, and also on Newgrounds and Instagram, Twitter, all these places where the project is now. But it is kind of like the vibe of it is very Newgrounds. When I was a kid, I was watching Newgrounds, and that was like the place where you could find stuff that, as we talked about earlier, just could do all kinds of stuff. What was this game where you were like a kid going around in school that had been like completely attacked by demons? And, that was really cool. But anyways, if you pledge, then there's like original pledges where if you pledge a lot, of course, that's like getting yourself or your drawing or your character into the series and the second season. And then there's also like art books and comics. And then there's the art book of the reward, the art book of Tales of Alethrion Season 1, the role-playing game, the vinyl original drawings by me, and the fan art book, and the poster, character art prints, the board game.
This is a heck of a Kickstarter. There's so many things. I can't imagine how much time you got to spend just doing the Kickstarter alone, much less.
Yeah. But it's actually the third Kickstarter, so we've been lucky enough to do a lot of other episodes thanks to Kickstarter and an interactive series with the audience thanks to Patreon.
That's a lot of admin work. Do you do the admin work and stuff by yourself? I'm talking about like social media and organizing and running the Kickstarter.
And I also draw and animate.
Oh, you.
And, so there's a lot of stuff. But I think it's actually like really fun to do. I really like it, and it always gives me joy to see all the comments and stuff like that. And every time you get people on board of the team, they're also super enthusiastic. And when you have like producers on board, like I've had as well on this project, it's also people I can see myself in and who are like just as crazy. So it's been a very hectic and fun journey.
I feel like I can sort of be part of the journey just because of how much behind the scenes you put on the YouTube, which is really cool. You don't just put the episodes on your YouTube. You also put behind the scenes of the animation. You do things yourself, like the drawings and the YouTube live stuff. It's cool. It's like you have a certain number of episodes with season 1 with the other smaller comic-y things you've been doing for the show itself. But then you have your own, here's what it's like to make a show like this, part of YouTube as well. I think it's really fun. You talked today about maybe doing like a Dungeons & Dragons live stream.
That would be so neat. I've been thinking of that for many years. I've been playing so much Dungeons & Dragons and have this awesome group. And I even worked as a dungeon master back in my early 20s and also late teens. I was like a dungeon master in a youth club.
You were making money doing Dungeons & Dragons for kids at a club?
Yes. How neat is that?
That's a job. Where can I sign up?
Yeah, I took a big risk entering the animation industry because I lost the coolest job for it.
How do you start doing was the club offering a job for somebody who could run a D&D campaign, or did you go up to them and be like, hey, so here's a skill I have, right?
It was actually because even before I knew about the D&D books, we heard about older children playing with their big brothers and stuff like that. And then I just started my own little role-playing guild where I made up the rules for the game and I gathered a team of players and made a game with 6-sided dice. And then we were sitting and playing everywhere and I was telling the story and it was really fun coming up with all the weapons. And then one of the we continued doing this, and then one of the dungeon masters who was like one of the people working there who was dungeon master, and he did some Warhammer for the kids and played with the older ones. He said, guys, let me show you what Dungeons and Dragons is. And he took us up and showed it, and then we continued to play it, and he's actually my neighbor now. How weird is that?
Oh, that's nice.
So then when I turned 18, he knew I had been playing like every week, but every week, 2 days a week, both with like the ancient cool dungeon masters from the 70s and 80s, but then also my own campaign. And then he said, "It's time, Mikkel. You're the next dungeon master." And then he tested. He put me into the game master position, and he was sitting and being a player in the first campaign we played to check out how I did it and stuff like that. And then I took over from there.
I haven't ever played it before. I feel like I know all about it from everybody I've talked to. I've never played it before myself. I want to so badly.
Well, we should have been friends. Then I would have introduced.
We should have been. You know what? I agree. We should have been friends. I'll find a way. I listened to a podcast that does D&D. It's called The Adventure Zone. It's the McElroy brothers thing.
Oh yeah, I know them. I know them. That's great.
So everything I know about Dungeons and Dragons, or most of it, I know from that. So I feel like I can talk about it a little bit. It's mostly just because
it's not too bad of a place to know it from. That's good.
Here's an idea. All right, when you're talking about a Dungeons and Dragons live stream in the future, maybe is that something that you do remotely with cameras, people at their desks, or was that something that you have a table of people together and you film it all?
I have done it remotely when I played with people from the States and got other players in from like in the beginning of Tales of Alethrion, we said, hey, 4 of the fans could play Dungeons and Dragons with us. Then it was on Skype, and some of them actually came to Denmark. But now I'm sitting with people around the table and playing.
That's good.
And then they come
because my idea was that
different places.
You were illustrating so fluidly. I know you talked about having to lose focus because of the fans and the comments and stuff, but I thought you were doing a really good job, and you were drawing in the live stream, and you were talking about other stuff as you were doing it. It'd be cool if you could have some sort of format where like you're a dungeon master for a group of people, but you're also sort of drawing what they're seeing at the same time. I don't know, like some sort of drawing and Dungeons and Dragons hybrid.
That is a great idea. I actually did that once. Back in the early days, we had like something like Choose Their Path. Those episodes came from an idea where we were sitting and streaming live. Unfortunately, it was so long ago that it wasn't even recorded. But so 300 people had like a really exciting adventure there. But we were just sitting and drawing, and then we would make the audience decide where the character should go.
Oh, cool.
So we were sitting and having Vito and Wilhelm from the reward run around inside of a big tree where a lot of cool stuff happened. But that was basically just storytelling and making the audience decide what the characters did.
That's fun. Would you ever do a live stream of you playing the role-playing book that you're offering?
Yes, I think that would be a goal. I think I really want to make some role-playing videos. It's only a matter of figuring out how to plan it and setting up cameras and making all of this work because and then finding some great players, of course. I have several in my mind. But that would be super nice. I would love that.
So did you make this role-playing system yourself?
It was together with Andreas, a guy called Sukichi.
Is it based on Dungeons and Dragons, or is it a completely different structure of...
It's a mixture of like Shadowrun and Dark Souls and Dungeons and Dragons. There's like various things you can find in other role-playing systems as well.
That's a good pedigree.
It's a success-based game, so the more dices you have, the better you are. It's not like a one side that hits up and down. It's like if the more 6s and 5s you have, like the better. So if you're rolling against the monster and the monster rolls more than you, then you're screwed. But then you can have more dice than that, so you have a bigger chance.
Cool. It sounds like it's pretty user-friendly. It sounds like I could get into it if I wanted to.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good game.
I might have to pick it up.
I would love to sit and play it.
That'd be really fun. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious about working for a studio like Skald. So this is not like a remote job, right? This is an actual animation studio that you help run, that you guys all come into the same building and you work on this stuff.
Yes.
What is that culture like? What kind of culture do you have in the work environment there? Is do you know everybody really well? Is it kind of friends and...
Yeah, it's definitely like a small team, and yeah, it's pretty intimate. Everybody know each other. So right now it's like I have a workstation here, but I also have a workstation in another part of Copenhagen, and then I'm also working a lot in another part of Denmark. So it's like right now it's pretty organic, but when we have a production like we do in the fall, I get a team of like 5 people in the fall. Then maybe even more. It depends on how the Kickstarter goes.
Do you also do audio there? Do you have like an in-house voice recording, or do you get that from other people?
Yes, Yes, most voices are done by me and friends.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's true. I'm the red bearded guy and the little dino guy and the frog creature.
Oh, okay. I must have not paid attention to the credits because I thought it was other people, but it's totally you. I can hear it now.
Yeah. But I also have it's always hard for me to write the name more times than the credits. It's always weird when I see an animation film or some video and it's rated by this guy, voiced by this guy, animated by the same guy, and also the guy also composing, because then I could have my name everywhere. So
Peter Jackson presents a film by Peter Jackson, directed by Peter Jackson.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, starring Peter Jackson.
So I try to just have my name once, but it could be everywhere. That looks stupid.
Right. So you do what is it like recording non-verbal dialogue? I've always found that fascinating because you're doing you're emoting, but you're emoting through
Yes. Basically, we tried dialogue and also voiceover, and it just it took some of the charm away. So in order to by doing it like we did here, having the non-dialogue, we could focus much more on the acting, and that was a really cool choice to try to get the characters acting out without saying anything. Yeah, it could easily go wrong, and you can tell a story much more clear with dialogue, but it's also, then you also marry to that idea. Then, an episode we have here, it could be 4 sequences because, you have a dialogue and they're talking in the tavern, then they go out.
Right.
But here we can make a montage in 2 minutes where you have a whole adventure explained.
Okay.
So it was pretty fun to play with this montage, non-dialogue kind of way, but I can't promise it's always going to be like that. Sometimes it would be fun to play with dialogue as well, especially if you have longer episodes or more.
I feel like you guys do a great job of having a non-verbal communication. I mean, I feel like I can understand perfectly what they're saying to each other. It's very clear, even without the actual language. It's very clear. I sometimes if I'm thinking back to the scenes of the show that I remember, I can almost remember them saying things, even though I know they didn't.
It's funny, right?
Do you have tracks somewhere in a hard drive in the back of your closet of dialogue on Alethrion?
Yes, I'm not sure if I still have the files, but maybe I do actually on an old drive. But we both tried out dialogue where we voiced all the characters, and then we also tried voiceover where they were sitting as old men and talking about the adventures of their youth.
Oh, that's fun! They're doing a commentary on it and they're looking back and you're hearing the old people talking.
That was a really fun version. But and then if we had a very serious fight scene, you could have these 2 old men yeah, man, how could you do it? I had to get caught up, and they talk they remember it, but we see how deadly it is in real life.
Yeah.
But anyways, I remember one sentence that was after the high five that explodes in the reward.
Yes.
This old voiceover was the buzz of friendship was in our hands. That was great.
That's such a different tone. I can't imagine it, but that's hilarious that could have been what it was.
Yeah.
Some sort of Patreon reward down the road. You got to release those dialogue alternate takes.
Oh man, that would be great.
Both the old man and the actual dialogue when they're just talking to each other. I cannot imagine it, and it sounds so funny.
Yeah, that was great. It was actually a really fun process of making that film. All of the film has been fun, but that film was really experimenting. So
you guys are running a Kickstarter, obviously, which is why you're here, but you also have a Patreon, which gets a pretty steady income if I looked at it right.
Yeah.
You guys have a really cool Patreon, and you mentioned in the YouTube Live thing that you were mentioning maybe shuffling it up a little bit and doing something different with it.
Yeah.
What would be the new Patreon plan? Do you have one yet, or?
Right now, it's the Patreon is, because it went from being a monthly thing to per item. Because I think it makes more sense to make something, and then you can, in order for it to be quality as well, it could come out 2 months later instead. But what I would change is that when it was monthly back then, we had every month we put out a Choose Their Path episode. So an episode where we spent all of it, all of what came from the Patreon to make an episode, which was then it could be black and white, and just like a sound library we had been building up for the characters and making episodes fast, and then they could choose where to go. And then the more patrons there were, the better we could make it, etc., etc. But then I realized that the Patreon is actually what keeps the YouTube channel alive. So what I want to travel up a little bit is to figure out how I can make new content. Like either it could be like Choose the Path episodes, it could be webcomics with the characters, it could be drawing tutorials, it could be all kinds of stuff that serves the YouTube channel or the community.
Right.
And I think it would be great to use the Patreon to get something more regularly, but it doesn't have to be like a fully animated episode, because that's the hard part.
That's too hard. Yeah.
It's not too hard, but it just takes much longer.
Sure, yeah, that's what it's too hard for the amount of time that you're talking about for something like a Patreon.
Yeah. Like I made like a special Patreon episode, which was just made completely without any budget. But that was like a 3-minute, full quality, nice episode, I think, called Outcast Journey. Mm-hmm. And that was like just because of appreciation of the community. You can get far if you can see a meaning with it.
You guys are also doing an art contest right now, a duo. Who can make the best duo on Twitter?
The 1st of June. Yeah.
You've been watching a lot of. Do you have any shout outs to people that you like so far?
Oh, there are some very good ones. I think Sammy did some really cool ones. And the Shrew Master had like some cool lizards. We had a very dynamic and cool pose from Mighty Knee. Who did some dual wielding mercenary, like Ed, the dual wielding mercenary, and Anta, the arcane warrior. They wander the continent and do dumb stuff together. And these like they look a little bit like twins, but they have like a super cool dynamic pose. Nando draws. He has made like a bird who has the same deity symbol of like Emirath. So in my mind, I think that this must be one of the other. If you're into like the Alethrion lore, there were like 4 little Ruden bird creatures sent out to stop Alethrion, and one of them met Emirath.
I will say that there are some very cute little bird creatures. I watched that one too, and I was in love with the little duck. Or I called him the little duck. I don't know what he actually was, but
yeah, his name is Ruden.
Ruden,
but he's such a nice little creature.
So good. I can see the plush of him one day. So fluffy.
There are so many good ones there. Like I love all of them. It's so nice to see this artwork come in.
How can you search on Twitter to find that?
You search for the hashtag Alethrion.
Alethrion hashtag. Okay.
Yes, that's Tales of Alethrion's Twitter is just Alethrion. Tales of Alethrion was too long.
Sure, yeah. So I guess it's a Newgrounds podcast. We should talk about Newgrounds a little bit.
Yes.
It's not as much of a thing. But...
Tom Falb is so cool. He's been helping out a lot with this project.
Really? That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Now, is the new season, when it comes out, it's going to be on Newgrounds as well?
Yes, and I still have some episodes that I'm going to release on Newgrounds as well.
Fun. Okay.
Yeah. So where YouTube has a lot of different content, I think that Newgrounds is more like for the episodes. On the Newgrounds channel, there's going to be the episodes that if you have been on YouTube, you might have seen them before, but I think a lot of other people might not have seen them who are on Newgrounds. The
kind of art that Newgrounds is good for putting on is the kind of art that Alethrion is. It's like we're not going to limit ourselves to any boundary or any kind of censorship or anything, and we're going to tell a story that's as pure as possible without it. It's a really great community in there on Newgrounds, and it's so amazing that it's been there for so many years. Mm-hmm. You can also see Tank Guy in the first Hero episode. I saw that. That was good. That was very good. And he's just right there. It's not subtle. He's just the Tank Man is there, and it's amazing. Shovel Knight is there too, if I remember. Yeah, people have like there's always like somebody in the comments who are like, Shovel Knight, no, what have you done? And then somebody was also like, he didn't even take Shovel Knight's helmet. What is happening? Before we wrap up, let's go by the Kickstarter one more time. So yes, it's coming up. We're 60% done. We have 60% of it. Might as well get the other 40%. There's no reason not to finish her off. It would really, talking straight to the people. We have to climb this giant to the top. We do. We absolutely do. I have a saying that we must keep climbing this giant while it's still awake. I like that. Yeah. Ooh, that's evocative. Yeah. So I want to ask though, people who want to support the Kickstarter but don't necessarily have it within the wallet to do so at this certain point, if that's the case, what can they do still to support it anyway.
Definitely share and share the campaign and tell people about it. Mainly, it's eyes we need on the project and people who are excited about fantasy. For example, these the Critical Role have such a cool community, like a big community who loves adventure and fantasy. So of course that's an ongoing thing, right? Where I think this project is also kind of like it's like a hidden gem on the internet. It's like, who knows about it? It's like if you know it, it's like you're part of the Alethrion clan somehow, right?
And so for anybody who's listening, can go ahead. I would say the easiest way, just search Tales of Alethrion Kickstarter. You're gonna find it right there.
Yeah, definitely. And if you write season 2, it's 100% sure.
Absolutely. And
Alethrion is a little bit hard to spell, but
it's okay.
But it has that kind of mythic lore to it.
Oh yeah, it's way too cool of a word to not use because you can't spell it. And go there. If you like what you're seeing, you want to support the kind of art that this can be, you can just click the reward button and click pledge and do whatever you find appropriate for yourself, where you are money-wise.
And even like $1 is also very appreciated.
Yeah.
Like everything counts in there.
I feel like people don't say this a lot, but if you have already pledged and you are already on a reward tier and you really, really want this to happen and make it possible, you can consider going up to the next reward tier too, if you can.
Yeah, that would be cool.
If you really enjoy it, you can go from one to another. Give it that extra little push it might need right there at the very end.
Exactly, and I might even put in some more tiers here towards the end, or reward everybody with some extra stuff here towards the end, because it's just like super cool that people are supporting it.
I love that you were able to make this and support this. I think it's so good that you're able to make stuff like this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I really do.
It's been it's been pretty fantastic.
Now, plugs. Is there any other plugs you want to give us? Do you have a Twitter handle, Instagram handle you want to throw out there?
Well, the Instagram is Tales of Alethrion, and Twitter is Alethrion, but everything is kind of called Tales of Alethrion, except for Facebook. That's like the reward, Tales of Alethrion. And if you have listened to this whole podcast, thank you so much for listening and being interested in the Tales of Alethrion.
Absolutely. And I'm really excited to see what comes of this, the Kickstarter. Best of luck to it. All the other projects you were also talking about, I hope they come to fruition soon too, whenever you want them to.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a Dungeons and Dragons live stream, whatever, in the works for some time in the future.
We have to make that happen.
We have to make it happen. Maybe I will play Dungeons and Dragons one day, and I'll think of you when I do.
Oh yeah, reach out to me. Let me know. We can also reach out if you have some fun ideas we could do together. Let me know about that.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to, and I might take you up on that. I might. Yeah. We'll see. And best of luck on the tavern for whatever it might be named. I'm still rooting for Skjalhalla. I think that's. I'm gonna pat myself.
Skjalhalla. That was good. That was also the fun one with work. I'm going down to work.
I'm going. Yeah. Where are you going, honey? I'm going to work.
Oh yeah.
A big giant thank you to Mikkel for joining me, and thank you to you guys for joining us and listening. Again, you can send us an email at groundspatrol@gmail.com. That is our little email box, and I will be reading certain things that you send to me on the show, so get yourself on the show that way. We have a Discord. You can join our Discord at bit.ly/groundspatrol. It's growing and growing and growing. It's an amazing community. I love it. My talking to Ninja Muffin on the Discord is how I got him to help be my producer. And we've talked about maybe doing some sort of trivia night, some kind of event like that. You might have to go to the Discord to find out. Also, I'm going to post a little bonus clip from this tweeting at us is very nice. It helps get us some organic growth for the podcast, which I love. You can also follow me on Newgrounds and Twitter at WillKMR. Finally, thank you to Waterflame for the use of his song Below. It is our theme song. Guys, our next episode is 2 Wednesdays from now on June 12th. Until next time, stay creative.